This is the world, as it existed back in the year of 2025, full of people, full of life, full of hope. But nobody could predict what was to come. Let's take a look at how the world looks today. The year 2032. Not much is left of civilization. Small pockets of survivors hide in the dust around the world. The cities are gone. The governments are no more. Every day is a struggle to survive. The future of mankind lies in the hands of one man, Chef Gordon Ramsay. But what happened to the world? Let's start at the beginning, back in 2025. Back then, Gordon Ramsay was an ordinary man. He lived a pretty ordinary life. Some might say his life was kind of boring, but it was enough for Gordon, and he was happy. Gordon enjoyed eating out with friends. He had many friends because he was a stand-up guy. He was the kind of friend you could rely on. You could also knock on his door at any time of day, and he would help you bury a dead body. No questions asked. But Gordon was a complicated man. When he wasn't socializing with his close friends, he loved to go out and be at one with nature. He would often venture into the wild world and immerse himself in nature's beauty. It was how he kept his mind and body as sexy as possible. On a seemingly normal day, Gordon was on his way to work, just like any other day. His friend Stephen always gave him a ride to work, but he was never allowed inside the car. He arrived at work in exactly the same way he arrived every day. He drank his morning coffee. He gossiped with coworkers. He did his secret workout in the bathroom. But Gordon didn't eat breakfast. He liked to keep his stomach empty for work. You see, Gordon was a professional taste tester. He would taste test a wide variety of products like sushi, dog food, dish soap, lollipops and other sweet treats, car tires, sleeping pills, and sometimes even catnip. Wait a minute, did I just say catnip? Gordon woke up on a random bench most mornings, but today, something was different. He knew he had done something terrible, so he did what any responsible chef would do. He ran. He didn't want to go back to prison, so he tried to dispose of any evidence. He had to get as far away as possible. Without being seen, Gordon Ramsay was once again a wanted man.
Good evening. My name is Schlunky Dunky with BBC News, and I'm here with a breaking news update. Celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay is now at the center of a shocking development, as authorities have issued a warrant for his arrest on charges of murder. Reports indicate that Ramsay is currently evading capture, with law enforcement actively searching for him.
Gordon knew there was no getting out of this one, so there was only one thing he could do. He returned to a place he once worked at, Aperture Laboratories. His job was to dispose of whistleblowers, but this time, he planned to dispose of himself. So he wrote a quick note to say goodbye to the world, and then he dived into the radioactive juice. But as we know, that wasn't the end of Gordon Ramsay. In fact, it was only the beginning. He emerged from that pool of radioactive green science juice like nothing had happened. This didn't make any sense. Anyone who he had previously thrown into this liquid dissolved away, never to be seen again. He was tired of running. He decided to turn himself in, so he was on his way to the local police station. But something strange happened. He discovered that ever since taking a dip in the science juice, he could do incredible things. He was a lot more flexible than before, and he could perform amazing acrobatics. He had the ability to move his body in ways that no one had ever seen before. He could even climb walls without the need for any climbing equipment, almost like a spider. And like a spider, he could now produce his own webs and shoot the web from his wrists and butthole. He decided that instead of living a life on the run, he would do some good with his newfound abilities. So he made himself a disguise and dedicated his life to helping others and making the world a better place. And he would call himself Spider-Man.
With the landsaw, anchors in the air. When trouble calls, he's already there. With the chef's knife sharp and a web that's tight. He'll whip up a dish and put that guy's to flight. Gordon Ramsay, Spider-Man, what a sight. Cooking up justice, ready for the fight. From the kitchen to the rooftop, he's the best. With a dash of spice, he'll put you to the test. Here's the lamb sauce, echoes in the air. When trouble calls, he's already there. With a chef's knife sharp and a web that's tight. He'll whip up the dish and put that. Gordon Ramsay, Spider-Man, what a sight. Cooking up justice, ready for the fight. From the kitchen to the rooftop, he's the best. With a dash of spice, he'll put you to the test. In the city that never sleeps, he's on the run. With a sauteed pan and a smile, he's having fun. So if you see him swinging, you know it's no bluff. Gordon's here to save you, and he's tough enough.
Gordon had found his calling. Life had new meaning. He was excited. The police had forgiven him for his crimes. Life was good, and it would stay this way for a while. But life had another surprise for Gordon. Just like that, Gordon Ramsay was in love. They spent the next few weeks going on many dates, getting to know each other, and falling deeper and deeper in love with each other. Gordon had found his soulmate. He had his happily ever after. Or did he? One morning after a typical night of disgusting lovemaking and a few games of night crawlers, Gordon woke up in a hotel room to find himself alone. The love of his life was gone, but she left a note.
Dear Gordon, my love, my one and only, I'm sorry to do this by letter, but I don't have a choice. I'm not who I said I was. My name really is Danielle Dorito, but I didn't tell you everything about my past. I have to leave in order to protect you. Maybe our paths will cross again someday. P.S. I left you a little something in the bathroom to remember me by.
Danielle had left Gordon one last gross turkey dinner and another letter.
Surprise. I made you a turkey dinner because you always call me a little turkey. I hope it's delicious. Thank you for the best few weeks of my life, Gordy.
But Gordon wouldn't allow anyone to eat this monstrosity of a turkey. Allow Gordon Ramsay to show you how to prepare a proper turkey dinner. Give it a good massage, making sure you rub its breasts nicely. And then slather it with plenty of butter. asked the local church choir to sing to the meat.
I love you, turkey. I want to rub your nipples.
Now get out those tummy tentacles or tonguecles and wiggle them on the turkey a little bit. It's stuffing time. Let's find that turkey hole. Wow, what the fuck? Okay, let's move on. Oh look, Grandma is here. Let's borrow some of those delicious scalp flakes. Fun fact, Grandma hasn't washed her hair since 1976. Now send the turkey to the oven. Turkey Tony? What are you doing here? Well, you got here just in time. Looks like the turkey is done. Time to carefully carve the turkey. And there you have it, a beautiful turkey dinner. Well, with that out of the way, back to the story of how the world came to ruin. Gordon wasn't doing well after his breakup with Danielle. He wandered around aimlessly and went to the park to hang out with the ducks. He hung around at the park for a few days. He hung out at the park so much that even the ducks got sick of him. But then he remembered something. He was Spider-Man. But Gordon wasn't interested in helping anyone anymore. He decided that this time around, he would use his powers for evil.
Gordon fucking Ramsay. Gordon fucking Ramsay.
But one night, he was in a fancy home committing a burglary. He didn't know what to expect when he opened the safe, but he knew it would contain something very valuable. Inside the safe was a ring, but not just any ring. This ring had to be destroyed, so it was time to go on an adventure. Now that Middle-earth was safe, it was time for Gordon to go home.
Gordon Ramsay is going home. Woo-hoo! Gordon Ramsay is going home. Woo-hoo!
After a very busy few months, all that Mr. Ramsay wanted to do now that he was back in London was relax. So he spent some time doing all the things he enjoys, some quality Gordon time, if you will. And what does Gordon enjoy more than anything? Harassing members of the public and being a general menace to society. After some good old-fashioned mischief, Gordon arrived home, but he still didn't feel like he had relaxed enough. So he went online and booked himself a holiday. He packed his bags and made sure his precious cats had enough food to last a week. And off he went to the airport
and gentlemen, in just over 8 hours' time, we'll be arriving in sunny Barbados.
He was en route to Barbados, but flying makes Gordon Ramsay uncomfortable, so he decided to take himself to the toilet for some alone time.
Attention passengers, be prepared to experience a mild turbulence.
Gordon Ramsay was the only survivor of the crash. He didn't know what to do, so he just started walking. It didn't take long for him to realize that no help was coming. No one knew where he was. He was marooned on a desert island. At first, he felt hopeless and terrified. But then he said to himself, "I'm not going to die on this island." He explored the surrounding jungle, looking for sources of food and water, and getting to know his new home a little bit. He studied its wildlife and discovered that this island wasn't like any place he had seen before. It was home to strange creatures, creatures you wouldn't believe were real unless you'd seen them for yourself. Gordon was fascinated by the island's creatures, but it wasn't just the animals that was different about this place. At night, the plants and animals came alive with stunning bioluminescence. This place was amazing. Gordon was in no hurry to leave. It turned out, this island wasn't what Gordon thought it was. The island was populated by an indigenous tribe of Jeremy Clarksons. One of the Jeremy Clarksons claimed Gordon as his own personal servant. He made Gordon serve his food and refreshments. He made him do all the heavy lifting, but mostly, he made Gordon his dancing bitch.
That's Gordon Ramsay dance. Look at him go. That's Gordon Ramsay dance.
Gordon couldn't take it anymore. He knew it was time to get off this goddamn island. When the time was right, he made a run for the beach. He knew the Clarksons never venture out of the jungle. He ran through the night until he reached the beach. By some miracle, his old clothes were still lying right there on the sand. Gordon Ramsay was back. It was time to build a raft, so he collected some driftwood and fashioned some rope out of jungle vines and started to build his raft. After many hours of hard work, he had built a seaworthy vessel. He was ready to go home. He drifted for a long time and saw many things. He experienced nature firsthand. He survived deadly storms. He endured freezing temperatures. He even fought a kraken. He just drifted. He didn't care where he ended up. He was just happy to be free. One morning after weeks at sea, surviving only on dolphin meat, Gordon woke up on another beach. But this was certainly no deserted island. So Gordon explored this new amazing place and took in everything that it had to offer.
Gordon Ramsay, this is Rick Sanchez from Earthsea 137. Don't say anything, just listen. I'm very drunk. I hope I say this right. I have something you care about. Remember your ex-lover Danielle Dorito? Well, she remembers you. If you want her to live, you need to do something for me. Ever heard of a plumbus? Yeah, of course you have. Well, I want one. I want a fucking plumbus. So, basically, make me a plumbus, or Danielle dies. Bye.
He had to make a plumbus as quickly as possible. He didn't want to lose his delicious Danielle. So he ran and he ran until he arrived at the plumbus factory. It had everything he needed. I'll now teach you how to make a plumbus. First, you take the dingle pop and you smooth it out with a bunch of schleem. The schleem is then repurposed for later batches. Then you take the dingle bop and push it through the grumbo where the fleeb is rubbed against it. It's important that the fleeb is rubbed because the fleeb has all of the fleeb juice. Then a schlami shows up and he rubs it and spits on it. Then you cut the fleeb. There's several hizzards in the way. The blaffs rub against the chumbles and the plubus and grumbo are shaved away. That leaves you with a regular old plumbus. Now, let's get that plumbus to Rick Sanchez before he does something stupid.
I'll tell you where she is. Okay, you got me, Gordon. I'll tell you where to find Danielle.
Rick had escaped. Gordon Ramsay had failed. He worked his ass off to make that plumbus, and he didn't save Danielle Dorito. Also, he was done being a cartoon. It was time to go home. So he ordered an Uberbot to carry him back to London. Before we continue with the story, I must tell you a side story about Gordon Ramsay. It's important to know everything about the man who would eventually save the human race. Wouldn't you agree? Gordon Ramsay came into this world just like any other baby. He cried, he pooped, he learned. But it didn't take long for his parents to figure out that he was special. He took his first steps at the young age of 6 months old, and by the time he was 1, he was already telling people to fuck off. But Gordon's childhood would be far from perfect. His parents would argue constantly, so young Gordon kept himself busy with his toy kitchens and cooking shows. His school years weren't much better. He was bullied and picked on by the other students. They would call him Chef Ramsay because he always wore chef whites to school. So he kept to himself and stayed out of trouble. Until one day, he snapped. He ran out of school in the middle of class and never returned to school. But what became of a young Gordon Ramsay with no guidance, no friends, no hope? Not much is known about the teenage and early adult years of his life, just that he went down a dark path of criminal activities and gangbanging. It was around this time he discovered his talents for cooking. Cooking meth, that is. Gordon quickly became well known for his cooking skills. It was the first time he had excelled at anything, the first time he felt like he belonged. But this feeling was short-lived, and Gordon's world was about to come crashing down in the worst way possible. Gordon Ramsay was arrested. The judge decided to make an example of him and throw the book at Gordon, so to speak. Chef Ramsay was sentenced to 40 years in a maximum security detention center. Gordon got used to being locked up pretty quickly. In fact, he loved it. He had no problem making new friends. He couldn't get enough of that delicious prison gourmet cuisine. And there was a lot more familiar, friendly faces than he expected. He even discovered that prison was the perfect place to raise a child. Now that his son had turned 18 and moved out, Gordon was lost. Prison was suddenly a cold, lonely place, until one night, Gordon had a very strange dream.
Escape!
Gordon woke up suddenly, and he immediately knew what he had to do. He had to get the hell out of prison. So, he started planning. He came up with a foolproof plan and gathered everything he needed. He was ready to escape. His plan was simple. Step 1. Distract the guards and sneak out onto the yard unnoticed. Step 2. Use the rocket boots he had whipped up to fly over the walls and far away. The rocket boots worked. It was time to get as far away from the prison as he could. But the rocket boots ran out of fuel. Gordon started to fall. But don't worry, he had a parachute. The parachute didn't work, but Gordon wasn't going to let a fall from 30,000 feet ruin his day. He took off his prison clothes and disposed of them. He didn't want to draw attention to himself. Now it was time for a fresh new look. He was himself again. The people were happy to see Chef Ramsay wandering the streets again. He decided to visit his old kitchen and do a spot of cooking. So let's learn how to make a meaty surprise with Gordon Ramsay. First, you'll need a large bowl. Any large bowl will do. Start with some minced beef. And since your chest cavity is already open, add some heavy cream at this stage too. Regurgitate those eggs you swallowed last night. And top with a handful of pickled slugs. Let's use up those Halloween leftovers. Add the pumpkin juice, followed by the leftover gumballs. And that kid who didn't say thanks when you gave him a full-size Snickers bar. Have the steaks delivered straight into the bowl. And finally, a fresh plump bird of some kind. Use your superpowers to bring the mixture to life. My God, it's Steven. He doesn't look happy. Don't do it, Steven. Gordon Ramsay was dead. You would think this was the end of the movie, but fate had other plans. Somewhere far away, in a high-tech basement, something strange was happening.
Gordon, I felt kind of bad about taking the plumbus and not handing over your woman. So I downloaded your mind and grew a clone of you so you have a backup in the event of your death. So, enjoy. Also, Danielle isn't who you think she is. She's actually...
Power off. Please charge.
Gordon couldn't stop thinking about Danielle Dorito. He had to find her. He had to find out who she really was. He traveled all over London trying to find her. Gordon hated paying for transport, so he found alternative methods of getting around. He searched high. He searched low. He decided to stop for a boneless bucket. Danielle had escaped. Now Gordon meant business. He headed to an old drinking hole he used to visit regularly to find an old friend. This bar was full of tough and crazy characters, but he had a particular psycho in mind.
Deadpool with the clips, serving up the heat, saute with the flips. Knife cuts clean, katana on the scene. The mission's mean, culinary team supreme. Ramsay whipping up dishes, Michelin grade. Deadpool blasting rivals, make them all afraid. Spices like grenades, flavor bombs explode. Dodging bullets, baking souffles on the road. They cook, they fight, a legendary sight. Savory explosions in the middle of the night. Gordon with the skillet, Wade with the might. Together unstoppable, out of sight. Kitchen's battleground, pots clang, guns blaze. Gordon's fiery temper, Wade's irreverent craze. Mixing up chaos, blend of insanity. Whipping up the drama, perfect recipe. Don't need no recipe, book just intuition. Every mission they complete, pure ambition. Lobsters boiling, tempers roiling. Plates flying, bad guys frying. Heroes never dying. Critics need a seatbelt, food wars in the streets. Chopping onions, dodging bullets, dangerous feats. Serve 'em up the justice on a silver plate. Gordon and Deadpool sealing every fate.
Gordon Ramsay, I've been expecting you. I suppose you want to know what the fuck is going on. Let me explain. First of all, I'm talking to you telepathically. That's why my lips aren't moving. And for seconds, let's get rid of this dead weight you brought with you. Now back to business. What you see now is my true form. I was sent here to decide if the human race was worth keeping around. I used a humanoid clone of myself to get close to the famous Gordon Ramsay. But I got closer to you than I expected, so I had to leave. But I made my decision. The human race doesn't deserve to exist. I've placed antimatter bombs in strategic locations all around the Earth. When I finish talking, the antimatter chambers will open, causing the antimatter to come into contact with regular matter. When this happens, incredible amounts of energy will be released. I've planted enough bombs to wipe out 99% of the human race. You won't be killed by the bombs, but you'll be doomed to watch your species and your planet die. Goodbye, Gordon Ramsay.
Since the antimatter bombs, the world had become a scorched desert. The population was decimated and cities destroyed. Within the people who were still alive, little humanity remained. Gordon had been through a lot over the last 7 years surviving in the wasteland, but one thing kept him going. In Gordon's mind, it was his responsibility to get the world back to the way it used to be, and he knew just what to do. He built a gauntlet. The gauntlet was capable of harnessing the power of some powerful stones that were placed throughout time and space. If he could collect all of these stones and attach them to the gauntlet, he could change everything back to the way it was. Luckily for Gordon, he knew a guy. Thanos gave Gordon most of the stones, but he still had to get one more. The final stone that Gordon needed was the Stone of Souls. He traveled to a planet called Vormir to find it, but Gordon couldn't acquire the stone without help, so he invited an old friend to meet him there. Oh look, here he comes now.
Steven. 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 Steven.
Gordon and Steven are best friends, BFFs you might even say, which is why Steven is here. You see, to acquire the Soul Stone, one must sacrifice that which they love the most. A soul for a soul, if you will. So Gordon had to do something that would break his heart in order to save the human race. He had all the stones. He could fix everything.
Did you do it? Did you save everyone?
Yes,
And what did it cost you?
everything.
He had done it. He turned back time and corrected the world. He had saved billions of lives and gave humanity back its future. And no one would ever even know. But Gordon didn't care. He was so happy. He just wanted to kiss everyone. Although he was happy, he knew his work wasn't done. He had to stop history repeating itself. Bee had taken care of the clone. Her irresistible charm and banging body didn't work on him this time. But the real Danielle Dorito was still out there. Gordon knew she was too powerful to defeat, but he knew what to do. If he couldn't defeat her now, maybe he could destroy her when she was a baby, so he had to travel back in time. So he bought himself a sweet-ass DeLorean. All he had to do was enter the date he wanted to travel to and drive at 88 miles per hour to activate the flux capacitor. He had arrived in 1997, but he wanted to find some reassurance that he was actually in the 1990s, so he had a little walk around. Well, there you go. He even went to check out a 90s McDonald's. But Gordon was on an important mission. He arrived at his old kitchen. Now Gordon just had to travel to Danielle Dorito's home planet. He didn't know how to build a rocket, but goddamn, he could cook. Back in the 90s, Gordon worked exclusively with carrots, so that's all he had in the kitchen. But he made the best of it. He worked tirelessly for hours, building all the parts he needed for a working rocket, until finally it was complete. He boarded the rocket and got ready for takeoff. The rocket was controlled by an app, so Gordon just had to select his destination, and off it went. He was now on Danielle's home planet, on the day she was born. It was time to track her down. This planet was strange, not too different from Earth, but also very alien. So many different freaky-deaky creatures roamed around that no one even took a second look at Gordon Ramsay. Eventually, Gordon arrived at the hospital. Baby Danielle Dorito, future destroyer of worlds, was in there somewhere. After killing baby Danielle Dorito, Gordon returned to Earth, hopped in his time machine, and went back to the future to 2032, and everything was normal. The cities were back. The human race was thriving. The world was back to the way it should be. Gordon's work was done, so he went back to living his simple life. He even found a new job, which he loved. Gordon had found his true calling. He cleaned, he cooked, he prepared food, he kept customers entertained, all while maintaining impeccable hygiene standards. And that was it. Life went on. It was a happy ending for Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay. Where's that lamb sauce? It's raw. Oh God, it's raw. It's so raw. It's sucking raw. Fucking raw. It's Gordon Ramsay. What's that lamb sauce? It's raw. It's raw. It's fucking raw.
Professor Ramsay will now show you how to create your very own friend. You thought he was going to throw the puppy in there, didn't you? Start by showing your camel some love. In order to encourage it to produce some milk, let the milk land directly in the science juice. Your friend is going to need some bones. Raid your local hospital waste bin for some of that fresh human fat. And dump it straight in. Mesmerizing. This is the heart of a whale. Who wants a friend with a tiny little heart? Give it a kiss, and in it goes. Here comes your colleague, Professor Poop and Shit. He loves you. But it's time for him to make way for a new friend. Absorb him inside of you gently. And spit him into the science juice. Goodbye, Professor Poop and Shit. Bathe your neighbor Dilip in the juice. Then add this mysterious white substance into the juice. I won't tell you where it came from. Time to bring our new friend to life with science. Here she comes. Turn around. Show us that gorgeous face. She's even more beautiful than I ever imagined.
How to make festive Christmas cookies with Gordon Ramsay. Get some local butter delivered from a real cow. Put the butter into the bowl and thank the cow. Now add some goat's cheese. Did you know that goats have a chest hole? Open the hole and extract the cheese. Now add some cottage cheese from your own hole. It's Corn Daddy Jerry and Turkey Tony. But where's Steven? There he is. Get back in that bowl, you sexy piece of meat. Transform into a gingerbread man and vomit some delicious gumdrops into the bowl. Add Peppa Pig. Now, invite Will Smith over with some of his signature spaghetti.
Oh!
For the next ingredient, we'll need to take a trip.
Oh, you fuck! You dirty pig!
Now simply add the polyjuice potion to your bowl. Now gently stir your cookie mixture. Let's have a little taste. Place the bowl to one side and prepare to bake your cookies. Make 6 even-sized balls with your cookie dough and place them on the baking tray. They're now ready for the oven. In they go. And there they are. Don't they look scrumdiddlyumptious?
And now some clips that didn't make it into the video.
Ho ho ho! Let's make some of that viral Dubai chocolate with Chef Ramsay. All you need for this recipe is a single burner. And a large bowl, of course. Start by simply adding some milk into the bowl. Gordon makes his own. Squeeze out some of that delicious fresh milk and pour it straight into the bowl. Next, we need some butter. No, Grandma. Get out of here. Any good chef can transform themselves into pure butter. Get some of your buttery self into the bowl. Now, it's time for another Ramsay road trip. Let's go.
Where's that lamb sauce? It's raw. Oh God, it's raw. It's so raw. It's sucking raw. Fucking raw.
Gordon has spotted something. It's Chicken Philip, the muscular chicken man, an old friend. Pack your suitcase, Chicken Philip. You're coming with us. Now we're back in the kitchen. Little known fact, the green stuff inside of a Dubai chocolate bar comes from inside a pig. Have your strong friend help you lift the pig and shake it until that green stuff oozes out. Yummy. But where does the texture come from? Let Gordon show you. can now add the grass clippings you just collected, followed by a sprinkle of cocoa powder. Mix it. Pour in some liquid nitrogen. This will freeze your mixture into a bar. And there you have it. Absolutely disgusting.